baseball in the previous segment. Let's get to softball here. They had 2 against Malone on Saturday. They split earlier in the week against Ursuline on Thursday. So let's take you to the full screen. Let's see how the Pioneers did in game 1. They were able to come back from 4 down. Durunda, a big 3-run home run. In that one, the Pioneers would win 6-4. Again, a big builder of as far as confidence in game 1. Just down all game long, and then in the 6th and the 7th, we're able to come back and pull away from the Pioneers of Malone. They get that win 6-4. And in game 2, yes, that is correct, a sweep of Malone at Malone, 6-1. Ardinger, 2 for 4, 2 RBIs. She had a home run in that one. Stevenson had a good one for Malone, 2 for 3 with a run. The Pioneers improved to 14-13 overall. Let's bring in Kevin Calhoun here. And the big one was game 1, Kevin. When you're behind in that game for innings on end, and it kind of just seemed like, oh, here we go again. But the Pioneers bounced back big time.
Yeah, Josh, one thing we talked about a lot last week was the fact that the Pioneers seem to have a habit of pitching one game and batting the next game. In this game, we saw a little bit of both. We saw them really struggle to get the bat swinging early on, and then later in the game, they were able to take control. I like the power out of Durunda. That's something we know she has, but she doesn't show it all the time. It's huge for her to show up here. They get a big 6-4 win against an AMC rival, the Pioneers of Malone. You know, they're not the best softball team out there. They're a sub-500 team, but you know what? You have to beat the teams you play, and that's what the Pioneers did.
They were 4-0 coming in the AMC conference
absolutely.
last week. And the big thing, you want to talk about a complete game. Let's talk about game 2.
Yeah.
1 run. You talk about power. 3 home runs in that game. Ardinger, Moran, Davis, all home runs in that one. You have Robertson and Inzana that pitched great. That's the overall game. That's what this team is capable of.
Oh, yeah, and that's exactly what I was looking for a week ago. And I said this team needs to show up on both fronts. You can't have one and then the other. And we know they have the pitching. And then, on the other hand, we know they have the batting, but it's putting everything together. And in Game 2, you saw the pitching. I mean, the pitching was extraordinary here. And the power that was displayed at Malone over there in Ohio was really something that the Pioneers need to continue. Unlike the baseball team, which can't hit the ball long, this is a team that can really power their way through the AMC Conference. They have that ability. It was there last year with players like Kane, and it's still there now. They can still hit the ball long, and we saw that this weekend.
We have about 4 or 5 people that are definitely capable of going yard.
Yeah.
The biggest thing here is, last week, I don't want to say we wrote the ship off on these ladies, but they were struggling. They couldn't put the games together, but they take a sweep of Malone. They're second in the AMC Conference in a week. That's how loaded this AMC is, just right down the middle of just jumbled teams.
Yeah, this isn't not a conference. And we talk Point Park sports all the time on this show, and there's almost always a standout team here.
This is the Pioneer sideline.
It is indeed. But no, there's always a standout team, no matter what sport you're talking about. That's the number 1 team in the conference going in, and they hold that spot. That is not the case with this AMC softball season. It is wide open, and the Pioneers proved that with just 2 wins on the road at Malone, beating a 4-0 team going in. All of a sudden, the Pioneers are right up there in the upper echelon, and they have a chance to stay there if they can keep playing, especially they did in Game 2, Josh. They played well in Game 1, but Game 2 is really what I look at is to say, this is where the team needs to go from here.
And there's going to be somebody that needs to step up in that rotation, in that bullpen, that really needs to take harness when somebody can only go 4 or 5 innings. Someone needs to take the reins and come in there like Robertson did in Game 2.
Robertson was the name that initially came to mind for me, Josh. Robertson, she has the power. She has the off-speed pitch that can keep batters on their toes. And when you talk about a power pitcher coming out of the bullpen, that can really be underrated on a softball team, because if you throw Heigl or any number one of these pitchers, whether it's Inzana, any pitcher you want early on in the ballgame, you bring in a player like Robertson after that, she can really blow batters away, because if they get used to some off-speed stuff, keeping them off balance, and then you bring in that hard fastball, that's huge.